Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is going to be Cancer reading for May. And what I'm doing for May is I'm using my Bucket of Charms because I haven't used it in a while. It's going to give an overview for the reading, sort of focus in on the subject. I just got the Starseed Oracle, and I was sort of told by my higher self and guides that I had to combine it as a double deck with the Work Your Light Oracle. So it's like a sequel. So I just got it last week. This is sort of me practicing using it. So I've got this blended double deck here. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so when I did Gemini's reading, I shuffled the cards out. But now that I kind of get what's going on, I shuffled these out off camera. If you buy a reading from me, I will do everything on camera. It's just to cut down the time, because the longer it takes to set up, the longer it takes for the video to compile. And sometimes there's a time issue. So I'm also using my new Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. This is my first round deck. I want to get that Tarot of the Cloisters because that's round too, but also because it looks like little stained glass windows from what I recall. But because this is all sort of heavily oracle based, I wanted to get a little bit of regular tarot, but for Cancer I'm using my Twin Flame Pinnacle deck. So it's just 2 sets of 9 through Ace, labeled DM and DF, so it just gives masculine energy or feminine energy for my little notes, which I can choose to ignore if I feel like it. But this is, I mean, regular playing cards are basically just minor arcana. So I shuffled out the cards. I haven't looked at them yet. They've been sitting here for like 6 hours because I got delayed in between readings. Okay, they've been sitting here for like 8 hours. I've had some snacks and some liquor, and I took a break, so I'm ready to go. And I almost forgot the cards for Gemini because I got interrupted a couple times. But I've got everything spread out for Cancer, so hopefully I'll know what the fuck I'm doing. Is Cancer even in there? Okay, I just want to make sure the little tag was in the reading. So I'm going to start with these charms here. Pull them over so I can grab them. I just put lotion on my dry, crusty hands. So hopefully I'll be able to pick these up just from maybe. Maybe not. Okay. So upright charms. Hopefully I'll get it right because I kind of screwed it up last time. Upright charms. I have the pyramid. Am I holding that good? Is it in focus? I can't tell. So the pyramid. The Gumball / little plastic egg vending machine, and the bowl of sugar cubes. It makes me think of that Porcelain Black song's Sugar Cube. Okay. I don't know how the lyrics go. I can just hear her screaming Sugar Cube in my ears. So inverted, I have the piano. I'm just thinking of Jeff Foxworthy. He's like, or was it, no, it wasn't Jeff Foxworthy. It was the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. That was Bill Engvall. He's like, is that y'all's piano? It's like, no, that's our coffee table. It's just got buck teeth. So anyway, the grand piano, or potentially, if I spoke words correctly, potentially the baby grand, if you're feeling saucy. So I have inverted also the charity hand here. This is essentially the 6 of Pentacles. I got the UFO again. In Gemini's reading, it was upright, but now it's inverted. This is my original sort of chariot charm that I made. I have the garbage can here. Although the way I've drawn it, it's very distinctly a waste paper basket. garbage can. A rubbish bin, if you're nasty. Oh, and then inverted, I have the tetrahedron, so it's kind of like a little pyramid, although the pyramid is half of an octahedron. So here we only have a tetrahedron inverted. So now I have to figure out what this means, which is hard to do because I can feel that whine in my head right now. Okay. Oh, I have to connect the dots here. I mean, obviously the inverted tetrahedron and the pyramid are related. Gumball machine and this inverted are related. But what is the... Okay, this and this are related. Then we have two extras. Okay, so this inverted UFO and the piano inverted makes me think of like a piano falling down the stairs. I can hear it in my head. Like a crash landing. An ungraceful entrance. Let's put it that way. I was going to say that sounds entirely Cancerian. I can just imagine myself being klutzy as hell because I have heavy old Cancer ascendant. Okay. So it's not a tetrahedron, but it's half of an octahedron. There's an expansion from a small fire into a huge amount of air, but only half. It's like only half of the stuff got burnt. And interestingly enough, pyramid, pyre means fire. But why? And this might be explained better once I flip these other cards over. But this gumball machine, it's like... What this is giving me is actually... It's making me say, we're not talking about a gumball machine. We're talking about one of those, like, claw machines with the fucking stuffed animals that, like, unless you're some kind of wizard, is impossible to get. It's like you keep putting little bits of energy, resources, money, chipping away at something, hoping that you'll have this like one chance in a million to get this giant stuffed... I don't know why I'm thinking Pikachu, but you know, some prize stuffed animal instead of getting it like over the rim and then like running out of money and having the claw like drop it down off of the other side or something. So this, to me, with the trash can and the sugar ball, it's like something that's presenting as sweet. And now what's interesting is that the cubes are another, it's another platonic solid, right? We have earth element, octahedron, but it's broken, I mean, earth element cube, Jesus Christ, broken up into little tiny cubes, which makes me think of this too. It's like small increments of resources. Again, it's like, am I wasting my time? I'm not getting any like enjoyment, right? There's no sweetness here. All right, so let's see. Let's bring all this out of the way so I can play with the cards. So I'm not doing a set number of cards. I'm just shuffling them out till it seems like enough, or till my guides kind of, my higher self or whatever, till I get a number or I hear like stop. Oh my god. I'm always weird in the middle of the night when I do these readings. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or some shit. What is it? 2:30. I just caught my sleeve on the chair. Okay. Get grounded. Empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. Can I hold that up right? Can you see that? See if you can answer me. There's a face over here. It's like one of those Olmec heads. Whale and Orca Elders. Share your song, frequency of sound, and diving deep. And I'm going to skim these Starseed Oracle cards because it's a brand new deck and I've only gone over it like once. It's probably pretty straightforward, but we'll see. And then we have Warrior Woman inverted. This is like the Ace of Swords for me, or the Queen of Swords, or Justice. It's like Wonder Woman. It's Gal Gadot. Have you answered your deepest calling? And then we have Water Your Garden. Nourishment, body care, tenderness, and rest. So not only we have... And I said the lack of nourishment with those rotten sugar cubes, too. Let me just skim this. Some of these have recitations on them, and because I don't really use the book anymore when I'm doing these, because I've had them for so long, I don't really introduce those. So where am I? Okay, these ones are in alphabetical order without any sections, so that makes it a little bit easier. I just skimmed the Whale and Orchid Elders. Bear with me. Anchor the frequency of love. Harmonize. So it says of the whale and orca beings, their physical presence affects Earth's magnetic field, right? Crash landing. The magnetic field is different, and now your devices don't work. It's like that Bermuda Triangle stuff. And their harmonics call us to wake up and remember our own soul's song. Okay. Okay. If you pull this card, you're being called to surrender to your deepest truth. And then it says, and share it with potency. Have you answered your deepest calling? What is your truth? These cards that are inverted is a lack of... It's like a lack of understanding, confusion, maybe dragging your feet, right? It's like I need to care for my body. I need rest, but I'm not doing it. I'm avoiding it. I'm sort of choking in the throat chakra a little bit and not really... It's like I'm not saving enough of my little tidbits of energy for myself. It's sort of like my energy might be expanding, but my fire is starting to go out. I only have half of my octahedron. I don't have enough to get into this full swords air energy, if that makes sense. Because octahedrons are air energy, it's swords. And the grounding is what would help. What is it? Grounding? It's a crash landing. I just fell down the stairs. And what is that? When the piano falls down the stairs, it makes a racket. Share your song. What are you gotten? Whatever. I don't have a Boston accent. I can't say it that way. Water your garden. Earth is a seasonal planet, and as such, you're in... oh my... Wow, I just totally screwed up. Earth is a seasonal planet, and as such, you're a seasonal being. Cyclic. You can't be on and in full bloom month after month, day after day. So we need that grounding. Especially, right? If you're grounding, you're tied to the earth, you're recognizing the cycles, and then you can, hydrate. Although that could be emotionally as well. And so we have water, we have whales, and then we have a grounding and then an air thing. But what's interesting, it's like you can't really gain altitude unless you have a solid takeoff, which requires, working with the ground as a launching pad. Says it can feel like time is running out and as if there are urgent things that cannot wait. One simply cannot wait. Oh. If you keep pushing on, soon fatigue will set in. Exhaustion, and it will take twice as long to get back to where you want to be if you don't just take a break right now. right? You might be tired, but you need to sit and meditate or ground or take a nap or, you know, sit and eat that donut and worry about, you know, your thighs later. Like, keep a little bit of resources for yourself, because if you don't take that break, you might be so out of it, exhausted, running ragged, that you end up breaking your ankle and, you know, cutting a chunk out of your arm, and now you've got to take 6 weeks to take a break when all you really needed was like 3 days. This is the thing, water your garden. It's less expensive to put increments of nourishment than to have to replace the entire thing. Right? If you don't spend $40 on that termite repellent, you're going to have to replace the whole goddamn house. So let's look at these archetypes. Hopefully I'll keep an eye on that. So we have the threshold. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. It's like being on the precipice of entering some other phase. But it's like you have to listen to yourself on a spiritual level and on the physical level. And I'll probably skim this again because this is new and see if there's anything else that I need to know. Let's get these other... Okay, so we have the vision. A couple of owls here, more air energy. We have this vision of the mountain back here. I think that's the regular mountain. I could be mistaken. And there's a coin here too. It's for the machine. Alright, so I'm getting, I mean, with these hands here and the trees and stuff, it does give me this idea of, like, linking the sky and the earth, some grounding and all that crap, but I will go over that as well. So we have 45 here. It's like the Romans making people do math every 2 seconds just to know what the hell time it was. It sucks. And then we have 55. I can't drive. 55. So what's interesting is that there's a threshold here, and then there's this, you know, not exactly the same, but could be the threshold of a portal. Like, I'm getting this vision. What is the vision? It's this song. It's this, I need to answer my calling that I keep, you know. And I just heard this thing like the call of nature, and it can't wait. You know, the old bathroom euphemism. But here it's like the call of the higher self. The earth and your soul and everything is calling to you. And this one is the healer. So we have a triple snake. I've seen snakes with 2 heads, but I've never seen a live one with 3. What's interesting is that if you get a 2-headed snake, they'll fight each other for food because they don't realize that they're attached. So this is 25. 50. Whoa, they're all 5s. 45, 25, 45, and 55. It's giving me this like idea of a breakdown of cycles coming in faster and faster. So we have the root and the sacral and the solar chakra. Then here it's sort of like the threshold that needs to be crossed is the snake itself, because look where this color is. It's right in here. I need to cross the threshold of healing, taking the time out to rest in order to strive further towards this vision. And now these are out of order, but whatever. Alright, out of order. So I am just going to skim these real quick in case there's some extra information that needs to come out. So I'm going to go 45. I hate Roman numerals. I mean, they're kind of, it's, you know, they can look fancy, but they're very impractical. I would rather use Mayan numerical system with the little dots and the shells and stuff. At least that makes fucking sense. 45. And they had a 0. Which I don't think Romans had a 0. And they made pipes out of lead, which was really stupid because plumbum is toxic. You know, and all kinds of other stupid shit that the Romans did. Okay. Crossing a threshold may not always be voluntary. You know, it's like if you don't listen to your body needing to rest, it will make you rest. Again, with the, you know, cut arm and broken ankle thing. It's like it ends up, or if you get really sick, because it's your body's way of forcing you to not, just to stop flopping around. And once you get across that threshold, you can't go back. The cat's out of the bag. Oh, it's the door and the gate and the initiation. Oh, it makes me think of another blue-collar comedy tour thing. I'm just skimming this one. Entryways. Which is interesting because there's another threshold. There's a little window, a little room in that mountain. Usher you into a new reality. It requires you to leave behind the you that you thought was so well formed. But this is also answering your deepest calling. It's like, who are you really? Share your song. Like, you have to go deep into yourself, deep into the roots, spread the roots out, anchor yourself. Part of you will be lost in order to make space for what is next. A metaphorical death. Which is interesting because death is a threshold itself. It's an extreme change in the physical body. Which is why there's a transition there. And it could be physical if you really don't take any time to rest. It's like going to hell in a fast car, so to speak. Although, if I'm going to hell, I prefer to travel via the time-honored method of handbasket. But it might just be because I'm a kitty cat. I'm a cat. I'm a kitty cat. And a dance, 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 and a dance, dance, dance. Yeah, metaphorical death must occur. Some may not recognize you. That's too goddamn bad. The ground seems to crumble as you free fall into your new reality. Right? This is like Alice in Wonderland right here. But that's also a sink for me. A little bit of a spirit slap for me personally. Ooh, the liminal. That reminds me of Patterns in World Religions when I had it in college. Okay. Right. So the darker aspect of the threshold is resistance, refusing to grow, barriers and boundaries. Like, oh, I can't do it. That's like, I keep putting the quarter in, I'm not getting it. Well, you know, maybe that's not the game for you, and the universe is trying to get you to go and do skee ball instead of dicking around with the stuffed animals in the claw. So we got healer. Let's skim that for extra tidbits until I learn these a little bit better. Because these are actually really potent cards with a lot of information. This is like excessive kundalini, but I was talking about the chakras anyway. The wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It's someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration. How's that for grounding? I'm just skimming this. Oh. Okay. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting. And it's said that this is the source of all suffering and dis-ease. Have you answered your deepest calling? It's like, I forgot what I'm doing. Now I have to wait for a message to come through on the pipeline. But you're not going to hear it if you're not grounding. And this is sort of similar, but it's very different in approach from Gemini's reading. Right, and for some reason it makes sense to me that Cancer would be a healer. And it's different than Gemini's reading, but it's kind of coming in the same way. There seems to be an overall theme of how to reconnect with your higher self. But it looks like for Cancer that there's a specific issue in these lower chakras. The root has to do with the grounding. This orange sacral energy has to do with security, right? If you always put in what little you had and you still never got anything anyway, you're always going to feel like, why bother? It's not worth it. I'm just going to stay in my little crab shell. And that's something that has to be healed in the sacral. Because it's really like I need to come through that threshold and climb further up the Kundalini. I need to get into my heart center, which is where all that water is that Cancer needs to soften the crusty, dried out heart that hasn't been getting any water. The cycle of healing is not linear, it's multi-layered and God damn it, I had a problem reading this before. Circuitous process. Always leading back to its origin, like the snake. Okay. So the darker aspect of this healing is tired, needy, and forgetting your own practice, which is I forget to listen to myself, to take care of myself. I'm tired. I can't. Now the battery's gonna die. Great. Okay, so the vision. 55. I cannot drive. Shiggity shwo. 55. It should be in here. Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's four suits in this. We have a place, the threshold, a person, the healer, and now we have a tool, which is the vision. The vision. Having the vicing. This is something that really rang true for me, this little note on the side. It says, look at art you loved when you were young. Listen to old records and poems. These are all ways to activate the vision. And I found, and again, I have a Cancer ascendant, so this is probably why this worked for me. Or just in general, but I was listening to some older music. I was actually listening to The Doors for a couple days. I went through a bunch of the different albums. And I started feeling more like myself. Where I was actually found myself listening to the music instead of just drowning it out and doing work. Which is usually what happens for me lately. So this is talking about vision and destiny. And again, that's that deepest calling. It is said, we forget this vision the moment we are born. Which I think came up in one of these other things. A lifelong journey of rediscovery. Yeah, again, this is really similar to Gemini's reading, but the flavor is wholly different. We trust the world in its synchronicities. We walk through new doors, the threshold, into wondrous opportunities. When we lose connection to the vision, life becomes dull and exhausting, lacking meaning. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that we had the piano, but it was inverted. It's like I've lost my my joie de vivre. Like, I'm tired and everything sucks and I don't feel good. And it's just like, you know, it's like depression. Like, I hate everything that I used to like. But if you rest and you get to grounding, there are things that will come back. I mean, there was like a 10-year journey for me, but although suddenly this week I don't like the taste of potato chips, but that's not really something that I need to be eating. But just, in general. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep going until the battery dies. I do have another one, but I have to change the segment anyway. So let me just get these last 3 cards here. Okay, so this is an extra card, and it's just like a intro card. But when it's inverted, it says, Serpents upon my dirigible. That's the old-timey way of saying snakes on a plane. But it's this idea that, like, I'm afraid to cross the snake here of healing from the root into any chakra above it. Right? It's like, I'm not used to this. I don't know how to heal. And that, my fronds, is the very magic word that makes the battery die. I don't know how to heal, and then the battery is completely dead. Until I put it on the charger. Okay. So we have the Ace of Wands. This is that like the modus operandi, and this is where we're trying to get to. We're trying to get at least into the solar chakra, because that's where your core drive is going to be. And we're just going to ignore this little scribble over here for now. But we have the Ace of Swords inverted, which is exactly the position that this came out in. Which is interesting because there is a lady in the middle of the spade. Exactly the same message. So again, it's like, what is your deepest calling? What are you not able to speak? It's like, I can't get into the higher chakras. I don't have enough. I haven't like pushed the spring down into the earth enough to get this ballast, I guess, to pop through this core drive. It's like the warp the warp core is damaged. My spaceship crashed. It's like, I'm giving her all I got, Captain. I don't have the power. So anyway, you gotta recharge those batteries. You gotta turn on the omega 13. So that's what's going on with Cancer. You can't just hide in your shell. You actually have to rest and ground and give yourself some kind of spiritual nourishment. And the sacral and root energy work can be very difficult, but you can help yourself with a purportedly red and orange and yellow fruits and vegetables. You can wear the colors. You can get sprays or whatever in little colored bottles that I know some light workers have. You can get crystals in those colors. You can wear the colors. You can listen to sacral and root chakra meditations. You could even listen to throat chakra meditations, or wear some blue, but definitely nature, water, grounding. Stick your feet in a pan with some Epsom salts. That's probably going to help Cancer ground. Get that mermaid action going. Alright, so hopefully that'll help. It's a lot of work. But anyone that hasn't been through that cycle already is going to get it in May. Alright, let me just throw the camera into the table. Jesus Christ. Alright. If you want to get a personal reading, you see that stuff down there, and that is a not so subtle product placement of my friends. Okay, CBD product, because they need all the advertising they can get. All right. If you want to get a personal reading, you can hit me up. The email there. I've got the complete list of readings that I offer and how much they cost down there in the description box. And then you can add charms to any reading for $7 on top of any reading. So there's like 195 charms in there. Is that the little nerve guy? No. And if you'd like to help keep my channel running so you can continue to see content like this, or fund newer decks, or supplies to make 3-dimensional charms, you can donate energy exchange. Hit that tip jar, PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all CATtheMinion. And if you'd like stuff, I've got stuff, drawings, stuffed animals, foam lotus, all kinds of stuff. A lot of it's psychedelic. Got coloring books, dark poetry, and the merch and the prints. There's certain merch and prints that I'm going to be donating to charity. I haven't made new advertisements for those ones yet. I'm still working on the stuff that's still working on advertisements for a different section of things that I offer, but I'll get to it. I think that's it. I feel like that was kind of short, but also long and rambly. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab. Although I haven't posted anything in my discussion tab in a long time. I don't have enough people yet for it to turn into a community tab. But in my playlists, there's astrological ages. There's these astrological check-ins. There's some twin flame and relationship stuff. There's some older pick-a-piles. I haven't felt compelled to do any new ones recently, but they're essentially timeless because everything's kind of fluid. Entity channelings. There's a few other tarot ones too, I don't remember. Weekly overviews. I'm no longer doing card of the day, but the weekly overviews have timestamps for each day of the week. And I think that's it right now. I'm sure there's some other stuff that I'm not remembering. I have dolls. I have one of my shows on my channel is my doll stuff for funsies. And I've got some art stuff. And like a couple of poor quality tutorials. So that's there in the playlists. So yeah. Take it easy and we'll see you later. Bye.